freaked out very, very badly. Freaked out on acid. I lived for...
So, I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier, but I got one interesting story. Well, I've got many, but the one that came to mind was when I lost my virginity on LSD. Now, if you want to know what LSD is like, having sex on LSD, which I'm sure everybody wants to know, you can go ahead and skip to whatever this time says right around here, if you don't want to hear the story. But I'm going to tell the story because the story kind of leads up to that. But if you just want to get to the meat, right there. So, but the story, I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was hanging out with this chick, and I had known this chick for like several years. We went to school. She was one of those chicks that was like, always into older dudes, like, put me in the friend zone, because she was like, I don't know, well, we were like 16, and so she was like going for guys that were like 19, 20, shit like that. Didn't really think anything of it at the time, but I'll tell you what she wasn't going for was me, right? I was like just a friend, so I was that guy that she can, cries about. Anyway, she used to sell acid, and it was cool because she would sell it to me for cheap because she didn't like the actual selling part. It made her nervous and shit, and whatever. But so she would sell it to me for cheap. We're talking cheap as in like a couple bucks a hit, like $2 a hit, I think is what it was. You gotta remember though, this is back in 1991, 92, right around there. So the average price for a hit was like $4 or $5. So that's what I would sell it for. So anyway, we had this relationship, and then eventually she's like, why don't you just come and meet the guys that I get it from, so we don't have to fuck around like this. You just get it right from them. And I was like, okay, cool. And so she took me to this place, and it was these like white power skinhead guys, right? And they weren't very old. They were probably late teens, maybe 18, 19, something like that. And I was just a long hair. I'll show the picture over here somewhere, right about there. That was about me, about that age. That may have been a year before, but right around there. So I don't look like a white supremacist to you, but for some reason these guys love me. Maybe it's because blonde hair, blue eyes. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it was because I was about to make them some money. Who knows? But anyway, they were really cool to me. But yeah, they're definitely like these white power dudes, and they sold acid, and basically started buying acid from them. But that's a whole different story of those dudes. But this one particular night, and here's to get to the point, we ended up all dropping acid. The state fair was in town, like the county fair or something like that, with like the petting zoos and the slides and like the zippers and the roller coasters and the games and shit like that. So we all decided, okay, let's go. Okay, and these fucking skinhead guys, man, they're both big. Like big as in like probably anywhere from 6'2" to 6'4", probably 220 to 250, right around there. Big dudes, right? And they had this like Volkswagen Bug, right? And this thing like barely ran. Well, it ran, but it was like really loud. Like they souped it up. So I mean, for a Bug, it ran good, especially with two big fuckers in there, right? So anyway, we're driving to the state fair in this fucking Volkswagen Beetle, tripping balls, right? Now the guy who's driving trips too, but he was like, it was like nothing for him. Like I watched him. I think he probably took like 3 or 4, and he's driving. Now that's fucking stupid. But back then I didn't know. Well, I did know, but I didn't care. Whatever. And I think I only took 1 that day. If I did take more than that, it wasn't more than 2, because at the time I didn't take more than 2. But either way, and she took some. We all took some, right? And we're going down the down the freeway in this Bug, and I'm starting to trip out a little bit, and I'm like, I noticed there's something weird, like I'd never been in this car before. The floorboard, right? It was like kind of moving, and I wasn't sure if it was me, right? But it was also at night, so my vision was kind of already. And then I was like, what's going on with the car? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, and I had some acid on me, right, in my pocket that he had sold me, and I don't, because he was going to drop me off later. We weren't going back, whatever. So it took it with me, and he's like, oh, we get pulled over, just fucking lift up that mat and throw it down into the ground. I lift up to the mat, and there's a fucking hole like this big, like in the floorboard, right? And this mat's covering it, little rubber mat. That just tripped me out, because now I'm thinking to myself, like, we're hauling ass doing like, as fast as that Bug could go, with fucking all of us in there, probably going like 70, 75, right? And all of a sudden there's a hole, and I'm thinking like, fuck, my feet are like this far from like the actual pavement, right? Anyway, I was like, okay, cool, but anyway, so like, I'm with this chick, and she likes one of these skinhead guys, right? Obviously not me, but we're all tripping and shit, and I'm sitting in the back seat with her, and it's a very small car, so she's pretty much sitting on my lap. Can't complain, right? But we were friends anyway, so it wasn't like real like awkward, but it was weird when you're on acid. Everything's fucking weird when you're on acid, especially sexual shit, right? And and especially when you're fucking a virgin and you're 15, right? And so like we get to the state fair. There was a line. There was something for some reason we divided into two. I was with the chick, right, and these two skinhead guys went the other way. Don't remember why, but we did divide somehow. And then we got in and we were looking around. We couldn't find the skinhead guys. Then one of them comes up. We found one of them, and he's like, "Dude, we gotta get the fuck out of here, man." Blah 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 blah. Got arrested. We're like, what the fuck? He's like, "Yeah, I guess he had a warrant or something. The cops fucked him. He got arrested. He thinks he's got some shit on him too, man." He's like, "So they're like looking for me, and we should just fucking get out of here, man." He's like, "Oh, I'll meet you guys back at the car." So I'm gonna go that way. You guys go that way. So we're like fucking now. We're like tripping. Like we just got there. Like we didn't even have time to fucking fuck around and ride the rides or anything. Nothing. So at this point, like this is probably maybe. I mean, remember this is fucking a million years ago. This is like almost 30 years ago. So we're like, we're just. We went to separate ways, and so we're pretty much peaking at this point, right? At least I am. Well, we all are because we all took it at the same time. So we're leaving. We got around. Her and I took off, and we went and we saw the car. He never came out. And we waited there, and maybe it was only like 30 minutes, but being fucking high on acid and shit, and like fucking just being paranoid and being scared and knowing that the cops were, because there's cops everywhere. It's this fucking county fairground, right? And it's held in like the Bavario, like on the west side of Phoenix and shit, right? And the avenues. So it's cops, city cops, state troopers everywhere, right? So of course, we're fucking freaking like, oh, they think that's for us when they're not. They're just fucking doing their jobs, right? Anyway, we decided to walk around and look for him. We even went back in. Now there's got to be at least an hour or two have passed, right? And we still can't find him, so we go back outside. Now his fucking car's gone. So now we're stuck, right? This is before cell phones, so there was no fucking calling nobody, right? I mean, we could have found a payphone, right? But at this point, like, we don't know what's going on. So her and I, we ended up, it wasn't too late. We hopped on the last bus, like one of the last buses, and jammed back to our side of town. We kind of lived close together, like maybe a couple miles, but, relatively, because we were on the west side, like, way the fuck out there. Went back to, the, where we lived, and but now, by the time we got there and everything, now we're talking about 4 or 5 hours to probably into our trip at this point. By the time we got to her house and shit. Luckily, her mom was really fucking cool. Like, she had one of those fucking awesome moms that, like, would let you drink and let you smoke weed. I don't remember if she knew we were on acid, though. I don't think so. Her mom was like a hippie chick, but either way, I mean, she was like, you could be fucked up around her and she didn't care, right? So we got back, we didn't tell her the story. We told her that, we got separated, blah, 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 this and that. And so I'm like thinking like going home and shit, and then she's like still tripping. I think she might have been like a little too much. But anyway, we ended up watching movies and shit, listening to music, and like we went swimming in this fucking pool, right? Like she didn't have a pool. Like this was kind of like in the hood too, right? But more of a white hood. It wasn't like the Bavario hood. It was like the white boy hood, the white trash hood over there. That's where we lived. And there's this apartment complex like across the street. And we had this great idea to like go fucking swimming, right? It's fucking Phoenix. It's in the summer. It's hot, right? And I'm still pretty high. I remember that because I remember swimming was a trip. I think that was the first time I swam too. I think on LSD was the first time. It was very cool. It was a fucking really nice experience. But I wasn't like peaking. But I was still high. Anyway, we go swimming. This and that, and somebody called the cops, and go figure, right? 2 teenagers just jumping in, fences to like swim in people's apartment pools and shit. Oh, somebody's gonna call the cops. Oh yeah, it's like fucking midnight, right? Cops come, fucking cops. Like it was weird because we were like skinny dipping, right? Like, well, practically, right? And like. Like I saw the cops and I'm trying to get my clothes on, right? When I wasn't butt naked and neither was she. I think she had like bra and panties. But we got out and the fucking cops were like, like told me like get your shit on, get your clothes on, right? But she's like went for her clothes, like wait, him first. And these fucking pervert cops are like intentionally like just letting her like not letting her put her clothes on, right? While she's standing there like, you know, and I'm just like thinking like that's kind of fucked up. Like, she's like 16, right? And there's two of them, two dude cops, right? And I'm just like, what am I gonna do, right? So I put my shit on, and they luckily we got talked our way out of it because we were just like a couple blocks down the street. That was cool about her mom. Like her mom knew what we were doing. Like so, like we dropped them off, and like they were gonna take me to my mom's house and drop me off. And my mom would have fucking blown a head gasket. But they're like, oh, these belong to you. It's like, yeah, like him too. She's like, yeah, I'm friends with his mom. She's out of town. I'm basically, his guardian for the, next week. She's like, okay. This is back in the day. Like, there were no fucking cell phones and shit. Like, there was, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you could get away with that shit back then. Like, that was back in the day when you went to buy a pack of cigarettes. Like, you'd have your mom sign for it. These are for me here. So you could get away with that shit. Anyway, yeah. So now it's like, now we're almost fucking sober, right? And then I had some acid still, right? And we're just like, I'm starting to come down. But now it's probably like, 7-8 hours into it. We ended up splitting a tab, right? Because we were not really sure. I think we might have smoked some weed. Might have smoked some weed too. I know she did. I don't remember if I did. I don't remember some of the things. I know I was maybe had a drink or two. But I split another hit. I remember I didn't really feel that much of it. But it was like, we're like half naked and shit. And anyway, the magic powers that be. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the drugs. Maybe it was not. Maybe it was just the excitement. Who the fuck knows? But she kind of like came on to me. Anyway, I'm not going to go into those fucking nitty gritty details because those really kind of are unnecessary. And to tell you the truth, I don't really remember like enough to make it interesting because it's just so long ago. Anyway, we ended up doing it, right? And now, if you can imagine, like being a virgin, right? Being fucking on LSD, right? Maybe not peaking, but still, like I definitely still felt it. So you already had the anxiety of being a virgin and losing your virginity, and now on top of that, right? Now you're on LSD too, right? But it was like that was like all I had wanted was to have sex with this chick for like since I met her, since I was like fucking 13 or something, right? And then now it's here, right? And the irony is that it happens, right? Not when I'm like ready, right? No, it happens when you're high on LSD, right? Like fucking at her mom's house, right? And her mom's like drunk, passed out on the couch or whatever. But who cares, right? And like her mom wouldn't even fucking give a fuck. So it's like, yeah. And so we had sex, and it was like, I didn't have anything to compare it to because I was a virgin, right? So I didn't know what if this was normal. This is how sex is supposed to be. But and of course I wouldn't know until later on, in my life, when I started to have sex on a regular basis with other women, then I realized that, wait a minute, that was a unique experience. That sex on LSD was like, that's not how it always is. But it was a cool experience. She was really cool. So I think that helped a lot. But it was weird because it was like, well, from a man's perspective, I wasn't really like sexually excited. I mean, maybe it's because I was nervous. Maybe I think it was the LSD because I'd had sex later afterwards, like with other people down the road on LSD. I had the same feeling, but it wasn't really an aphrodisiac, right? It kind of like it was kind of hard for me to get it up, but when I did, it was cool because I had a hard time fucking busting a nut. So I had a hard time coming, having an orgasm, which I was kind of insecure about at that one particular time because it was the first time I had sex and I didn't know like what, if this is normal. I didn't know, right? Like, so I didn't know. So we had sex for a long fucking time, right? And, eventually like she's just like, are you going to go? Like, go where? And I'm starting to trip again, right? Because we split that half a hit. And I don't know if I'm tripping or if I'm just like nervous. And, who the fuck knows, right? And I have a hard time exactly remembering the exact details. But apparently, I still talk to her once in a blue moon. But apparently, after a long time of having sex, I'm not talking hours, but, long time for being 15 or 16, right? Apparently, I just like stopped and just like got up. I was like, what's over here? And just like, got distracted and started like looking at some like lampshades and shit. And she's like, Okay, that's fine. Okay, well, I guess we're done. It's like, thanks. So what was it like? It was weird. I wasn't like, it's not an aphrodisiac. I wasn't really sexually stimulated, but I was able to keep it up for a long time. But my mind just wasn't into it, even though it was my first time. Maybe that could have been it. But later on, having sex with other people on LSD, to repeat that experience, I definitely noticed this. Mentally, I'm just not focused like to be there. Like my mind, even if I want to have sex, my mind is just like not into it. So it's like I have to pretty much will myself. If I'm going on LSD to have sex, I got to pretty much will myself to do it. I mean, but it's good because once you start, if you can get it up as a man, right? If you can get it up, like you pretty much have a hard time having an orgasm. So you can have sex for a long time, pretty much indefinitely until like you get bored. In fact, I remember having a hard time like having to like will myself to come like, and you know, but your mind is just all over the place, and it's not like LSD. I mean, at least for me, isn't really like say like MDMA where it's like, oh, feel my tits, oh, you know, it was like. You know, it was like my mind's just like all over the place, you know, and then it's like, oh, my dick, and over there, and like, wah. So it was like, it's not really, it enhances sex to a degree, but it's not something that I would say like you got to try because, at least for a man, right? I just wasn't into it. It's just like I'm like so interested in what I'm thinking, so interested in that fucking lampshade, so interested in changing that fucking song because I can't fucking stand Justin Bieber or whatever, you know, then I am what's going on with the sex. And it's just like, I don't know, that's it. I don't think LSD really is the best drug to use if you're gonna have sex, you know, to enhance like, you know, sex or climax or whatever. I mean, there are other drugs that do, but LSD not high on the list. At least it doesn't like, but I mean it can depending on how fucking high you are. But then again, so can this, so can pretty much anything if you do enough of it. But that's it. I wouldn't regularly recommend doing LSD on or having sex on LSD unless like you really know the person or you really have nothing better to do. I don't know. I mean, that's just my experience, but there you go.